How are you doing, YouTube? That was weird, right? Matt Massa Beers, Firestone Walker, anniversary, 2020. This is their 24th, right? 24th anniversary ale. I think the last time I reviewed one of these was 20th anniversary, so 4 years older than this. And I think it was last year or beginning of this year. I just wanted a barrel-aged beer. This is on a shelf, local to me. It was like $10. Here we go. Let's take the beer out of here, and then we'll read on it. Actually, I don't know if I want to read that whole back part, but we'll skim. We'll skim through it. So let's see this one. I'm kind of bummed that they do these smaller bottles now. I'm usually kind of used to the old bomber-sized Firestone Walkers, but such is life. 24th anniversary ale, limited edition release. In the fall 2006, a brewer, Matt Brindelson, asked a handful of winemakers' friends for input on blending a diverse stash of barrel-aged strong ales. Together, they came up with 10. It's called Blazing, beer commemorating our 10th anniversary. And so began the annual autumn rite that now continues in our 24th year. At the advent of the recent harvest season here in Paso Robles, Matt and his brewing team once again consulted their friends in a local winemaking community. These winemakers are practicing experts in the art of blending, and they were tasked with helping us assemble a harmonious beer for several barrel-aged component ales. For the first time ever, this was done remotely. Okay, pandemic beer. As always, a spirited competition ensued to create the winning blend, which you now hold in your hand. The result is 24, a beer immense depth and complexity, with long, intense flavors that beg to be sipped and savored. 24 is built to last. Enjoy this beer now, or cellar in a cool, dark place between 45 and 55 degrees. Allow it to warm up in the glass when serving. So to kind of give you an idea what they're talking about here. So what they do at Firestone Walker is that is there any other info on the beer itself? There should be an ABV 11.3, so it's not huge. I think they usually are a little bit bigger than that, but they vary widely because what they're talking about there, they take basically like barrel experts. I think they invite people, and I could be wrong because they wrote it on the actual label. Beer before glory. What they do is invite a bunch of people to take a set barrels. So there's a certain amount of barrels, and this is what I've been told. Actually, I think Matt told me this, so we'll see. And they give people, okay, here are all the barrels you can work with. Make the best blend possible that you can possibly make. And they're set up in teams, and they go back and forth, and they do a bunch of different blending, back and forth. And then it's kind of like, a project where who can come up with the best blend. So let's say there's, for the sake of conversation, let's say there's 40 teams. It's like, 20% this barrel, 10% this, blah, blah, blah. And then they end up producing these blends, give it to a panel. The panel drinks it and goes, this is the winner. And that winner of that blend, so that percentage of this, and this barrels, that ends up being the anniversary beer every year. So I kind of like that. Very romantic, to be perfectly honest with you, in a very competition kind of way. Anyway, label, it's what Firestone Walker does. Beer-wise, definitely looks the part. It's got that rich kind of, is that crack or is that a fleur-de-lis? This is my grandma glass coming from my beautiful grandma-in-law, Inga. I like drinking big barley wines and blended beers out of this sucker. But, it looks like stout. You're talking about a blended beer here. I'm sure it has several different beers blended in. I don't know if they actually call out what's in this. I'm pretty sure they typically do. Let's see what's in this one. It comes with a note I forgot. Velvet Merkin is 27%. Sticky Monkey is 26%. Parabola, 16%. Smoked Imperial Walker Reserve, 16%. Bravo is 11%. And Tequila Barrel Aged Eldorado, interesting, that is 4%. I actually call out the actual people that participate in this blend. It's a lot of wine people. There's a beer guy at the end, though, so it's a lot of wine people. And that band is Joshua Bernstein, a beer journalist and author. Very cool. I met Josh before. And there's a whole bunch of stuff I'm not going to read. So let's actually dive into this beer. So, like I said, rich, stout-like in color. Got a pinky finger with a swirl of a malted malt ball colored head. Let's see if we can get a nose in this sucker. Way less punchy of a nose than I was expecting. From a vibrance of flavor standpoint. Nose flavor? That sounds like cocaine, right? It has a heat to it. There's a little bit of like a fusel alcohol kind of burn off, so you know you're smelling something of higher ABV. You know there's spirit involved, but it's a lot of soft flavors. Could turn out being a pretty cool thing to actually drink, but on the nose, it's not like punching you in the face like a 2x4. There's a lot of rich, soft, rounded edge, like all the stuff you hear about a beer like this, like toffee, caramel, sugar daddy, raisinette, all that kind of stuff lives here. It's a rich, old, barley wine leaning kind of nose with stout kind of notes. There's a roastiness to it, but there's a barley wine kind of sweetness to it. But nothing here kind of jumps out and gets super hyper aggressive. You're talking about 11%, so it's not like something that's 14, 15, 16%. So it kind of makes sense in that aspect. Let's give it another whiff. But it's not, I'm not trying to diminish its richness. It has a richness to it. It's more adulty. It's not just sweet on sweet on sweet on sweet, or all these different kind of like confectionery notes. There's a big nut component to this, and I don't mean like peanut butter or something like that. It's a lot of like marzipan-y almost kind of nuttiness to this, which I found really, really cool. It smells really good. Man, that nut component is really kind of diving in now. Every time I take a big huff of it, I get this big kind of almondy, walnutty kind of thing going on. I don't know if that's a barrel, or if it's actual grain, or a little bit of spirit kind of influencing either of those, but it comes off really, really cool in the nose. Man, every time I take a whiff of this, I get more and more kind of excited about it, because while it's not impactful, like a 2x4 to the face, like I said, hair on fire, that you would expect of something of this high ABV and this anniversary status kind of stuff, there's something kind of sneaky aggressive about it. We're diving in. Cheers. So good. Like, that's really, really good. This is going to be a longer review, so buckle in. Man, that's good. And it has to be explained why it's good. Because it's not... And the nose reflects this absolutely perfectly. It's not like viscerally, knee-jerky delicious. I don't mean it as a negative. But it's not like you drink it and you're just washed over with these intense flavors that force you to react to the beer. That's probably the best way I can describe it. It's patient. You know, patience is a weird thing. I don't have it. My whole family lacks patience. But when patience is doled out in a positive manner, it's a great thing. That's why a lot of the more... not even a lot. The greatest leaders in the world, whether it be government or sports or whatever, they have patience. And I don't think I've ever talked about patience in beer before. But it's being, you know, it's being cool enough to let the things happen before they should. You know? And this beer has it. And I know that sounds like a super kind of like, you're reaching for like some shit that just, you're just trying to sound different. I'm not. Because, you know, I've had the anniversary editions from Firestone Walker before, and I've enjoyed them. And quite a bit of them have been quite aggressive or simple. This is the antithesis. Hopefully that sounded right. Of a lot of those, because there's something about it that, like I said, is softer. It's a slow play. It's a slow con. There's a patience involved in play with this beer. So when you actually take a sip of it, the first thing you're hit with might be the most luscious mouthfeel I've ever had in a barrel-aged beer ever. Like, this is like if a super creamy porter had a baby with a really beautifully well done kind of like cola kind of mouthfeel. And I don't mean like carbonic or sprightly or whatever. There's just this softness and richness in the mouthfeel. And there's probably, if you were to grade it on like a BJCP scale, it'd probably be over-carbonated, but I think it works wonders with this beer. I think a lot of times a little bit of touch of over-carb in some of these bigger beers tends to be more positive and negative, and that's what you have going on here, and it comes off as super luscious. Like rich. Like rich. And that mouthfeel alone, because the rest of the beer isn't... It's not simple. It's not a sweetness that you would associate with like just knee-jerk reaction. I keep going back to that word because that's one that makes more sense in my brain. Because what you're met with after this mouthfeel is several different layers of sweetness, several different layers of roastiness, several different layers of like nut-like maltiness, spirits, dryness, oakiness, multiple levels of stuff. This is probably, if we were to take that mouthfeel and kind of expand on that, by far and away the most complex barrel-aged beer I've ever had. Because there's so much going on here. And it's not so much that there's like hair on fire, again, like this over here, sweetness, barrel, all that stuff is crazy. Everything in here is calculated and reserved, but powerful. You know? Like, you know, the spirit shows up. The several spirits that they're using in here show up in different extents. You're getting a little bit of brandy, you're getting a little cognac, getting a little bourbon. I'm not going to sit here and say I get tequila, but there's multiple different spirits. Now, whether those actual spirits are in here, I read them off, but that's what I'm getting from this. There's multiple levels of wood in here, from a vanilla, coconut, tannin component. And there's several different levels of wood in this beer. Roast and nuttiness. I'm going to combine those both together. There's like an oatmeal porter kind of roastiness, but there's also like a barley wine kind of maltiness. And then there's a little bit of kind of imperial stoutiness in this, and then there's a little bit of like sharper kind of wheat wininess in this. So there's several different levels of like roasty, malty kind of characteristics in this. To the point where all just, and this is this, I know this is a long-winded review. The craziest part about it is there's so many different levels to every aspect, from carbonation to malts to roastiness to barrel to wood to barrel char to hops, the whole nine. There's so many moving parts in here, and to have them work in concert, to have them work together and produce something that's so harmonic, you know, makes so much sense in a subtle way. And that's the thing that I'm having a hard time kind of imparting, is that this is the most aggressive, gentle beer I've ever had. You know, because it is 11%, it is barrel aged, there's multiple things going on, but it just drinks like an absolute dream. that is really hard to contemplate and really hard to kind of parse and put and compartmentalize and understand it without just being like, it's just effing tasty. You know, that's kind of where this beer really does kind of land for me. It's just fantastic. Like, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. This is delicious. God damn. It's not overly sweet. It's not overly dry. It's not overly bittering. It's not overly everything. But it's also the opposite. It's not too little this. It's not too little that. It's absolutely spot on. Surgeon level specific. Fantastic. You know, I've reviewed several of the anniversary ales. And I've waxed poetic about a lot of them. Some have let me down. Some have been delicious. No, I shouldn't say let me down. Most of them have been better than most, but some have been really stellar. The focus back on the blenders on this, I think, is probably the most important thing, in that they knocked that out of the park, man. Because you could take so many different barrels and do so many different things, but to end up at this result, have something this aggressive, yet gentle, yet pretty, yet drinkable, yet everything. It's just a testament to beer, you know? This is fantastic. Kevin Sass, Halter Ranch Vineyards, Terry Hogue, Will Freeman, and Phil Lamontage, TH Estate Wines, Sherman Thatcher, Daniel Callan, Thatcher Wines, Matt Trevison, Lynn Colado, Justin Smith, Saxon Winery, Mark Adams, Legit Vineyards, Anthony Yout, Denner Vineyards, Russell Fromm, and Kyle Clement, Hermery Stone Wines, Neil Collins and Chelsea Magnuson from Lone Madrone, Tablas Creek, and Joshua Bernstein. Kudos to you, because this is the best barrel-aged blended beer I think I've ever had. Yeah, let's cut it short, because this is short. This is one of the better barrel-aged beers I've had. It was like, yes, Mount Rushmore status. Value and availability. I think I paid $11 for this. I'm fine with that. I was okay with it when I purchased it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I just want something barrel-aged. Now I'm just like, I'm going to go buy it all. Picked it up off the shelf randomly, and I've seen it in several places. And leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like barrel-aged beer. If you like barrel-aged beer and you drink this and you don't like it, then we can't be friends. There you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massif podcasting stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying this particular beer right now. It can be had. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.